Hello and welcome back to Wario Winter, the advent calendar where I'm walking through every single Wario game. Today, we're looking at the sometimes forgotten entry, Virtual Boy Wario Land. Let's get started. The Virtual Boy has always been a fascinating console to me. The base concept is so cool, but obviously due to the number of cut corners and technological limitations, it didn't quite reach its potential. However, there are still some cool ideas here, and I love that of all of the games to experience the Virtual Boy with, I got to play what was considered one of the best games in the extremely small library. Now having played it, I did enjoy a lot of this. Now it's worth saying that I obviously did not play this on real hardware. If you're a Nintendo lawyer watching this, pretend you didn't hear me say that. I do feel like a lot of this game would have been more impressive if I played it on the headset, because doing so the way I did took away a lot of what I would assume was the wow factor of this game. That being said, it's not like I had a bad time at all, it was just fairly bland. The biggest elephant in the room is the graphics. In the original two Wario Lands, they were stuck in grayscale due to the hardware, but it was relatively easy on the eyes even playing for long periods of time. This game, however, was all red. They did as well as they could to still make everything distinguishable and detailed, but the red was not pleasant on the eyes after an hour playing. I now understand why it asked me if I wanted to turn on autopause. I can't even imagine how hard this would have been on original hardware to look at for long periods of time. Even with the red though, I think the overall graphics were a good evolution from the ones on the Game Boy. I particularly liked the environments, because although they weren't all that varied in design, they were still at least very interesting to look at. Another small complaint I had that would have probably fixed on actual hardware was that there were certain obstacles that were extremely hard to gauge the depth of and avoid, given that they had 3D elements to them that didn't translate into the flat screen version of the game. This became more apparent in stuff like the boss fights, which used these effects heavily. It just made the gameplay a little frustrating. The controls were as you would expect, pretty much nothing to report with the exception that I felt like Wario was really slow in this game. Like, I don't know if it was the platform I was playing it on, or if that was the original speed, but sometimes it felt like I was crawling around the levels, especially since in contrast the jumps were super powerful, and I feel like they launched me up every single time. I did enjoy the ability to jump between the foreground and background, although I wish they gave more opportunities to do so, as I feel like they did it a little too sparingly. The music was a little bland, but good overall, just nothing really stood out to me all that much. I can imagine that this was mostly because of the limitations of the Virtual Boy, but I also know that Nintendo has done much more with less, so maybe it was just a matter of taste. This, in my opinion, was a good translation of the Wario Land formula into a different formatted console. I'm curious now to play a few more Virtual Boy games, just to see if I can confirm this being my favorite of the Virtual Boy library. Maybe I'll do that at some point in the future. Have you played Virtual Boy Wario Land? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe while you're down there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.